Mums with Hustle podcast, episode 499.
Welcome to the Mums with Hustle podcast, where you'll discover everyday mum entrepreneurs killing it in their industry. Learn the secrets you can replicate to create your own success with your host, Tracy Harris.
Welcome back to the podcast, my friends. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain and I'm sharing the 8 biggest personal leadership lessons that helped me build my 7-figure business whilst working less, living more, and feeling more aligned than ever before. And I want to talk about this today because there can be such a tendency to fall into believing the narrative that scaling means working more or being less available to live life or to be present for your family. And I get it, because traditional business models do tend to see scaling as something that, yes, is making more money, but to what end? And so if that's a model that you're used to, or if that's a model that you're currently in, or if that's a model that has been your only example through watching others, I can understand that you can have that tendency to believe that that's the only version of scaling. But for me, I want to scale in a way where the revenue is going up, but more importantly, where I'm winning my time back, where I'm working less. Even if I'm earning the same, it's like, am I working less? Are things more streamlined and optimized? Am I feeling more peaceful? Have I been able to claim freedom for myself and in my life? Anyway, I'm going to be sharing my 8 biggest personal leadership lessons with you in this episode, and it's not a list of hacks. I can't stand those. It's not a list of like surface level tips. No, again, we are beyond that here. These are the exact shifts that I made in how I think, in how I make decisions, in how I lead, especially in tough times, in how I choose to live. And they created not just more revenue, but more ease, more peace, more time freedom. If you are a coach, if you're an online educator, if you're a leader, and if you have that desire in your heart to create more overflow without sacrificing your health, your family life, your relationship with God, then this episode is for you. So get ready, because I'm about to share the exact inner work and decision-making processes that took me from overworked to absolute overflow. So let's dive in. Quick backstory for those of you that are just joining me here today, and maybe this is your first time listening to the podcast, or maybe it's not your first time, but maybe you haven't heard my backstory. But I used to be a primary school teacher, and I did that for about close to 10 years. And this was 10 years ago, because I've been a digital entrepreneur for 10 years. It's wild. But yeah, I used to be a school teacher, and I was constantly overworked. Any of you that know teachers, or maybe you've been a teacher yourself, you understand this. Constantly overworked and always feeling behind, because teaching is one of those career paths where you never are up to date. There's always something else that you could be doing, or there's something else that you could be doing better. And I was really taught that you only get to rest after you've absolutely worked yourself into exhaustion. Now, this wasn't something that was said. This is implicit, and it is modeled. It was modeled by leadership. It's modeled in those conversations in the staff room where people talk about, how the school holidays are coming up. And so we should go get that massage together, because heaven forbid you go and do that in the term. Like, teachers are just all grind, all term long. And it's kind of like you fall over into a heap when it's school holidays. And in fact, a lot of teachers actually get sick in the school holidays because their body stops and it almost has this release. Have you ever noticed that? Those of you that have been teachers, are teachers, or know teachers, it's not uncommon for teachers to get sick because they've just worked themselves to exhaustion, and now it's almost like they've got the space to just keel over because it's school holidays. So teachers are notorious for saving their self-care for school holidays. And I don't blame them because it really is often, I'm sure not always, but deeply ingrained into the culture of the school that you work at. And you see everybody else operating like that, and it can very quickly become your norm. So for me, I was conditioned to work like that and then reward myself with rest or with some self-care when I wasn't even practicing basic self-care throughout the term. It always had to be like this grand act of self-care, like a massage at a day spa, but only doing that once every 10 weeks and then not caring for yourself in between. Like that was not just my experience, it was very common in the schools that I taught at. So I hope that that's not the same for you if you are a teacher. I'm always looking for good news stories, but that definitely was the norm. It was the norm at the time that I was teaching. Like I said, it was 10 years ago. Hopefully things have changed. But it wasn't until I left teaching and I began the process of a personal development journey through starting my own business. And part of that meant completely rewiring my brain and completely rewiring how I approached leadership and life. And then things began to shift. Now, as a 7-figure CEO, as someone that has made multiple millions online, as someone that is known for short work weeks and optimizing it all the time to be able to work less as I scale and earn more, I am ultimately building a lifestyle business, a business that supports my family, my faith, and my freedom. So I wanted to share with you my 8 key decisions. They're not even lessons. They are decisions. And they're decisions that I practice consistently as best as I can. And sure, those old neural pathways, those old brain patterns, they're still there, but they're dormant. And the more you practice leading and living in the way that I'm about to share with you, the more these neural pathways form and they become your go-to. In the beginning, it feels unnatural and hard to implement these key ways of thinking and being because you're so used to believing the opposite. But when you start to think and make decisions in these 8 ways consistently, and when you place yourself under the mentorship or guidance and in a community with people who are thinking like this as well, you speeden up the process for this just becoming your mind map of how you think and breathe and live and exist and operate in life and in business. And then everything speeds up. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I'll give you a bit of an overview. I'll tell you where we're going in this episode. Feel free to take notes. I'm going to give you the 8 key decisions/lessons, and then I'm going to dive into each one a little bit deeper. But decision number 1, never make emotional decisions. That's decision number 1. Decision number 2, lead from your future self. Decision number 3, rest is a strategy, not a reward. Decision number 4, fail often or you're not playing big enough. Decision number 5, your body builds your business. Decision number 6, program your brain daily. Decision number 7, start your day with God, not the world. And decision 8, be disciplined and discerning with people. Now, all of this that I'm about to go into is tightly wound or woven through my fresh framework, which is my leadership framework for CEOs, entrepreneurs and leaders, because I believe that we need to be at all times working on the person and then the business. Okay, let's kind of start to dive in. So these are my 8, call them CEO lessons, but I'm actually wanting to say they're decisions, because that's what it is. It's a decision and a choice to think in these ways. And it's not easy. They all sound simple, but the most simple things are not easy to execute on or implement, and most definitely not easy to implement consistently, right? Because we're hardwired to the alternative. But the truth is that your next level of income and impact does not require sacrificing your health, your joy, your family. You do not need to hustle harder, but you do need to think and lead differently, intelligently, intentionally. And I built my business on these foundations. And I honestly believe that every woman in business deserves to grow in this way from alignment with discernment, and always, always, always knowing that we are co-creating with God. Like God is in it at all times. I believe that. So as I go through this, and, I'd love to hear which one hit you the hardest, because there is going to be one that you're really like, that's the one I need to focus on or dial in this season. I'd love to know what that is. So take your notes and then please, hop on Instagram, share with me. Would love to connect with you, or email me back. I'd love, love, love to connect with you. All right, so let's talk about number 1, which is don't make emotional decisions. In business, emotions are inevitable. And what does emotion even mean? It means energy in motion. And I love that Brené Brown teaches that all emotions have a beginning, they have a middle, they have an end. So they're like a wave, right? And we are souls having a human experience. So emotions are beautiful and they can be information, but we don't want to make decisions from emotions when we are growing our business. You don't want to make a decision based on your temporary emotion of frustration in a moment, or fear and scarcity, because it's normal to have those moments, but we don't want to be making decisions when we're in that state. Same as pure excitement. Like we don't want to be acting on every single excited impulse that we are feeling, or doubt that may be creeping in. Because the fastest way to sabotage your revenue and your energy, like if you don't maintain your energy, that's going to lead to burnout eventually. Everyone that's talking about burnout, it's like they've spilled their energy. They've lost their energy. Somehow there are so many ways that this can happen. We won't get into that in this episode, but the fastest way to sabotage your revenue and your energy is making decisions when you are in an emotional spiral. So I have a golden rule: no decisions when I am dysregulated or particularly feeling those low vibe states like fear and worry. So instead, I take space, I breathe. For me, I pray, and I revisit the issue with a clear mind. It really helps to have other regulated leaders around you, not naysayers, not people who play small, but other big expanders that are regulated, that do understand your experience, and they can offer you an alternative perspective on whatever issue it is that you're encountering that is actually helpful, that is actually calling you upwards and forwards, not making you shrink or go back, not feeding into your doubt that may already be there, but helping you to get to that regulated place where you can see things for what they are, and you can tap back into your own intuition, not your emotions, but your own inner wisdom. And that's when I make those CEO level decisions and moves versus reactive choices. The second one is to lead from your future self, not your current circumstances. And this one, maybe I'm going to say this for every single one of them. This one can feel really hard. At least it did and does still for me at every stage, because when you make decisions from where you currently are, even financially, like that's temporary, right? When you make decisions from where you currently are or how you currently feel, and we've all heard this, people saying things like, I'm not ready yet. That's making a decision based on where you are, not on where you want to be. And most people think from where they currently are. Most people will make decisions that match their current situation, which is temporary. Because when you make decisions from where you are, guess what? You stay where you are. You don't get to move forward in the game. You choose to put your stake in the ground and stay there. If you're happy with that, I'm happy for you. If you're not happy with that, I'm going to call you out and forward, and we're going to move through. It feels uncomfortable. You may be required to invest more. You may be required to build a whole new set of habits. You may be required to have more discipline. You may be required to show up in a bigger way. It doesn't feel comfortable. There's some kind of trade-off. But we don't get to make decisions from where we are and expect better outcomes. That just does not make sense. Every strategic level up in my business happened because I acted from my future self. I acted, therefore, before I had all my ducks in a row, before I felt ready, before I could afford that investment. That's what investment means. Like investing, like backing yourself financially and then having the ROI come later, not, the amount of people that will say, when I make X amount, like they're expecting themselves to act differently. It doesn't happen like that. You go first. Leaders go first. And it feels terrifying to all the people that are leaders, to all the people that are going first. Everything rises to meet you where you're at. You're creating the change. Have you ever heard the saying of, even money, when you do pay to invest in yourself, for instance, or buying a property or hiring a new coach or whatever it might be, a change happens even energetically. It happens on an energetic level. Like you almost feel like, okay, wow, I've changed in a fundamental way because I'm the type of person that can put my money where my mouth is. And so now I have to rise to that. Like I'm definitely someone that feels like that. So the second I pay in full, and I always challenge myself to be that person because I don't like the thought of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm not that. There is no plan B. I don't play with plan B. It's going to work out, or I'm going to do the work because I've proven to myself that I am the type of person that keeps the promises she makes to herself with the small things and the big things. That's what leaders do. That's what women like us do. So we've got to keep acting from our future self, the version of you that is already living your next level. What would she do? What would she say? Like I said, whether it's investments or new hires in your company or pricing decisions, I ask myself, what would future me do? And I follow that. That's how I collapsed timelines and scaled faster without working more. So another example of this is that I pay for speed. I'll pay to skip the line because I value my time more than I value money, and I always have. We don't get time back. We don't get time back. I also invested in joining my first mastermind before I ever could afford it. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I just knew I needed to put myself in the room. I knew it would shave years off my struggle. And so I did that. Like, this is how I collapsed timelines and scaled faster. Being the woman who is making decisions from her future self. Okay, number 3 is the decision to embrace rest as a power move. It's not a prize. It's a power move. Remember, I shared at the beginning, my past career as a teacher, oh my gosh, like I was treating rest as something that I had to earn after being exhausted. And I see so many people doing the same thing. And I just refuse to build my business in that way. Like once I saw that in myself, that I was doing that, I couldn't unsee it. So I just chose to behave in a better, more supportive way. So as a CEO, rest is just part of my leadership strategy. And when I'm working with my one-on-one mentees or the women in my mastermind, and also my ladies inside of Freedom Filled Business, I'm teaching them, like part of the framework that they get access to is that rest is part of their leadership strategy. Because when they make decisions, they're showing up from a place of overflow and not depletion. So that's why my fresh framework is at the center of everything at all times, not just when everything is hunky-dory, but at all times. And you can tell when you're not fresh. You can tell. So sadly, I've witnessed this lesson hit home for far too many women after they've hit burnout, especially those who reach that 7-figure milestone because that was the thing that they were chasing, or multiple 7-figure businesses. And you'll see this, like it's really good that these women are sharing that, they're depleted, they're exhausted. They're now prioritizing rest. It's good. I wish it wasn't so, but it's a pattern I can't ignore. Like I feel so called to change this. Why do we need to have female founders either burning out or needing to take long social media breaks or whatever it is, or completely just quitting on their businesses because they're so depleted when they could have been building their businesses sustainably from the start, where rest and spaciousness are baked into their business model? That's what I'm about. That's what fresh is. That's what a freedom-filled business is. We don't want rest and spaciousness dangled like a reward at the end of a grind. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not okay. I think that era is gone. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, then I'm speaking to you. Like this is our invitation to be leading in this way, in this fresh way. All right, number 4, if you're not failing, then you're not playing big enough. My revenue exploded the moment I realized that I wasn't failing enough. I was playing it safe. And playing it safe means plateauing. A lot of people get capped around the 6-figure mark and they kind of want to, plateaus can happen anywhere, right? They can happen anywhere. But whenever you feel like you're in a bit of a plateau, maybe you keep launching and you keep getting the same results or whatever it might be, that is a sign that you're playing it safe. Start chasing calculated failures. Start knowing that when you experiment, when you fail, okay, now you're sharpening your strategy. You're sharpening your messaging. You're sharpening your offers. We grow from failures. We don't grow from perfection. So stop trying to control everything. I get it. That was me. Oh, I would intentionally sabotage myself. And I shared this, like even in high school, I'd intentionally sabotage myself from taking subjects at their highest level because I was afraid of being seen to maybe not keep up or things aren't easy for me. So I get it. I'm not sharing this from a place of judgment. I'm sharing it from a place of I've done that and I've also undone all of that. Here's what I know. If there's no failure, there's no learning, there's no growth. That is not success. That's stagnation. So fail fast, fail forward, and stay in the arena. Number 5, your body is your business strategy. Before, I would see workouts as optional. So I've always worked out, like for the longest time, okay? For like the past 21, 22 years, I've always worked out. But they were optional to me because if I entered a busy season whether it was lots of uni assignments when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, lots of uni assignments or lots of due dates. And then in my career as a teacher up to the age of 30, like when things would intensify and it was report season or parent-teacher interviews, it was like, oh, no, movement goes out the window. Same thing in my business. I brought that attitude into my business. I've shared that before. You know, when I was in a busier launch season, I would just let go of fitness and exercise. Now, movement is a non-negotiable because what did I find? I found that it didn't make anything become more successful. I didn't do better because I dropped my self-care practices or I stopped moving my physical body. No. When I started realizing that and when I decided to make movement be a non-negotiable, not for vanity, but because every rep, every sprint, every heavy lift built mental toughness, that started to create a mental toughness in my business. I was conditioning myself to withstand greater challenges. And in the process, I was increasing my capacity in a really healthy way. When you teach yourself to push beyond your comfort in the gym, for instance, or on the paddle court or on the netball court, like whatever your sport is, you're conditioning yourself to push through challenging launches, to deal with a calm nervous system in the circumstances of difficult client moments or bold leadership decision-making processes, because a strong body creates a strong business. That is fact. Number 6, a decision to program my brain daily. Otherwise, it's going to default to its limitation, which is its current wiring, okay? So every single morning, I set my inner thermostat before the world can hijack it. I am commanding my mind with this simple practice. And I share this inside of my Freedom Filled Business mentorship and inside of my mastermind. I share this journal prompt with them. Today I choose to be. Today I choose to be. You get to fill in the blank. What do you want to be? Do you want to be bold today? Do you want to be unapologetic in asking for what you want today? Do you want to be magnetic to every individual you encounter today? If so, you're going to write that down. Today I choose to be. What is it? What do you need? What do you need to be? Do you need to be more disciplined? Okay, you're going to write that down. Today I choose to be disciplined. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's joyful. Today I choose to be joyful in all the work that I do because I am grateful that I even get to do this work. Whatever it is, that's your intention, but it's deciding your attitude for the day. And your brain loves instructions. If you give it none, it's going to stay stuck in its default mode, whatever that is for you. And for a lot of people, it's stuck in fear or it's stuck in comfort. If you give your brain leadership, it will follow. It's just a supercomputer. You got to tell it what to do. It's a GPS. You got to tell it where to go. Okay, so it's like today we're thinking like this. Today we are this. Today I choose to be. Write it down every day. Every day. You're welcome. Number 7, your business grows when you grow spiritually. Now, this one's really personal, and I don't expect everybody to understand this, but this is my podcast and this is my list and this is how I choose to live every single day. My biggest business breakthrough was not through strategy. It was by seeking God first every single day. And I am a Catholic Christian woman, and for the past 2 years or just over 2 years, I have been making a daily decision to open my Bible before I open my phone. And what that did was that it aligned me with peace, with truth, with wisdom that no funnel or mentor could give me. Because prior to that, in my business, I was starting my day and I was looking at the outside world for my next move or my next piece of encouragement or my next strategy. And I realized that no funnel, no mentor, no book is going to be able to guide me better than God. So my business became more blessed and more joyful when I surrendered striving and I operated from faith, from greater obedience, and from divine wisdom. And I am so curious to hear how you feel when I share that with you. Does that make sense? Are you feeling like, oh no, like that is not for me, Tracy, but I'm so happy for you? Are you a little bit curious? Are you a Christian, or are you Christian curious? However you feel about it, I welcome you to email me and just even share, like me speaking about that and saying that that's one of my daily 8 choices. Like, how does that feel for you? No judgment on how that feels, right? You're allowing me to share with no judgment. And I'm inviting you to get into some dialogue with me on that. I'd be so happy to share more. And just also understand and meet you where you're at too. All right, number 8, and this is the final one, a daily decision to practice discernment around people as a business growth strategy. So what does that mean? Well, in my Fresh framework, I talk a lot about environment and relationships. That's what the R stands for, relationships, E for environment and energy. Because your inputs shape your outputs, right? Everything that you're absorbing and taking in, whether it's content or music or conversations or the energy of like where you're choosing to work from or whatever it might be, like that is all being absorbed by you, and it shapes what you put out and create or go on to be. It shapes your output, especially when it comes to the people that you spend time with. So discernment is everything. I became unavailable for gossip, unavailable for negativity, unavailable for low-level conversations that sit in the cycle of shaming and blaming or victim mentality or mum guilt or all those unhelpful conversations. Unsubscribed, I guess I could say. I unsubscribed from those channels online and in real life. Why? Because they drain life force energy. They drain creativity and they drain your power. I love curating intentional spaces for values-aligned leaders like yourself, where the energy is clean, where the standards are high, where we lead with love, where everyone in the room is called to rise. Because who you spend time with is shaping your next level. It's so important. So there you go. They're the 8 decisions for, how I start my day, how I choose to be. And I'd love to hear from you which lesson hit the hardest, or which one drives the most curiosity, which one feels a little edgy, because highly likely the one that's most edgy is the one that holds the biggest opportunity, So if you're listening to this one, wherever you are in the world or whatever you're doing in your day, I don't care if you're surrounded by a pile of laundry on the couch or if you're out taking the dog on a walk. I'd love to see who you are and where you are listening to this episode. So take a photo, take a selfie, or show me what you're looking at, show me your view. Hop onto Instagram, share it in your stories, and share this episode with your community. Tag me so I can see it, because I would love to share your story in my stories feed as well. And if you're feeling the nudge to grow your business in a freedom-filled, fresh way, where it is profitable and spacious and deeply aligned, where you're not having to push and prove, then I would love to mentor you inside of my programs. You can head to the show notes to explore what's currently open, or you can come and just start a conversation with me on Instagram at Mums with Hustle. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on our next episode, where we continue to build businesses that are purposeful and freedom filled.